This is the story of Mica Miller, The Dead Don't Bruise. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to Regina and Friends Crime Chat. Let's see. Athena popped in. Hey, sis. It's so good to see you, Athena, you lovely soul. And we have Low 12, our moderator, the hostess with the moderator with the mostest. We have Sammy G, and she is here with us on panel. And I would just like to say welcome, everyone, and it's good to have you all here. Hello, Sammy. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Doing
Howdy,
wonderful,
everybody.
wonderful. Yeah, I had to take off. Everyone, sorry I haven't been present lately. Um, our house was built 10 years ago, and evidently my city has upgraded their internet services and the cable in my house. It was, the main cable that runs through the attic and all that. They had to upgrade it, or we wouldn't have had internet service after the 31st. So you got to take everything out of the attic, and then they come and they pull the cable. Then you got to put everything in the attic, back in the attic that was in the attic that you didn't throw away after you cleaned your attic out. So it's been a busy, busy week for me. What have you been up to, Sammy?
Well, I just been reorganizing my office. It's nothing new for me though. It's a constant work in progress.
I think,
See,
yeah, I think
look.
our it's
I'm just
beautiful. You look
I'm getting
beautiful.
there. Oh, thank you. I don't feel so beautiful all the time. But my
So,
my
Sammy,
office, I just made a backdrop here so that way, you know, I don't know, I just threw a bunch of junk up there. But there you
I
go.
like it. I like it. I think it personifies your collective soul.
Well, thank you.
So, you're welcome. So, have you been keeping up with the Micah Miller case?
Sorta kinda.
Sort of, kind of, sort of, kind of. Okay.
Yeah. But I think it's really important maybe you do somewhat of a recap here because
Yep.
there may be others who aren't very much, very up to speed with it.
Right. Exactly. So what I'm going to do is here is from ABC 15 News, and this is the timeline, everything we know about the Micah Miller case. Okay. And it starts off with January 2023. You can see this right. Yeah. 2023. Let me make sure I have my screenshot. According to a police report, Mica Miller stated that she and her husband, John Paul J.P. Miller, JP is what they call him, a pastor at Solid Rock Church, separated. They were married in 2018. So they were married for about 5 years, give or take a few months. Micah's friend said she led the women's ministry and worship team at the same time. And there she is. The
Okay.
couple,
Yeah.
um, October 28th, I mean, October 28th, October 8th, 2023, the couple officially files for divorce according to court records. On February the 8th, Micah was involuntary hospitalized for 48 hours, according to a report from the Myrtle Beach Police Department. On February the 10th, 2024, Micah was discharged from the hospital, and the staff informed her that John Paul reportedly picked up her purse and car keys while she was hospitalized. A police report said she returned to the Walmart neighborhood market parking lot where she left her car and it was gone. And then this is a picture of Micah and JP. February the 21st. Micah reports to police that she believes John Paul fraudulently initiated her involuntary hospitalization and, and stole her car while she was receiving treatment. So Micah said that he put her in the hospital involuntarily and stole her car while she was receiving treatment. Micah told the officer she has known her husband since she was 10 years old. That is disgusting. And that
See.
he groomed her while she worked for him at Solid Rock Church until they were wed in 2018, the report said. When the officer reached out to John Paul, Micah's estranged husband, said she suffers from episodes on an annual basis around Christmas time. He alleged Micah spends large amounts of money when she stops taking her prescriptions. Since the car was considered marital property and the two were still legally married, no charges were filed. And that's actually a law in most states that you can't report the vehicle stolen if your spouse, sorry, if your spouse is the one that has your vehicle.
Hmm.
Horry County Police Department reports state Micah called the police after finding her tire slashed with a piece of metal. It was later identified as a tire deflatation device available for purchase online. Wow. She named a potential suspect, but investigators said there wasn't enough evidence to prove the man was involved. The same day, Michael reported that the same suspect approached her at a gas station. She told him she did not want to speak with him. As she pulled out her phone to record, the suspect drove away, reports said. The man later showed up at the East Coast Honda dealership where she was getting her car fixed. Mechanics at the dealership told Micah a tracking device was found on her car, according to police reports. Mark, seriously? Micah reported she was trying to get a restraining order at the local magistrate's office because she said she was afraid for her life. The officer requested to meet her to get the GPS device, to which Miller agreed. Wow. While out front of the magistrate's office with Miller, an officer saw a white Honda Accord slowly drive by, and Miller said it was the suspect in her car driving by. The device then sped up and drove away, the report concluded. A magistrate summons is issued for both Micah and John P. Miller to appear for a bench trial on March 26, 2024, regarding a civil case, Mica Miller versus John Paul Miller, in which Micah seeks a restraining order. Someone at Solid Rock Church filed a police report alleging an offender who MBPD said was Micah transferred donation funds from the church's Zelle and Cash App accounts to her personal bank account. The donations were meant for the church's 501c3 called Dare to Care mission. Its goal was to collect money for a mission in Jabrok, Kenya. The person who filed the report said $1,199 was transferred to the personal account. That's a weird amount to transfer, ain't it? Are you there,
It is.
Sammy?
Oh, yes. Yes.
The report ends with an investigation will follow, but it's not clear if the investigation was completed. Police later said there was insufficient evidence to pursue charges. Boy, this divorce was nasty, it sounds like.
Mhm.
A bench trial is held in the case of Mica Miller versus John P. Miller, a civil case in which Micah sought a restraining order. The outcome of that hearing is not yet known, although ABC 15 has submitted requests through the Freedom of Information Act. April 26th, day before Micah's death. The day before and of her death, deputies confirmed John Paul and his alleged romantic partner were not in North Carolina. Officials said he went to Charleston for a sporting event and stayed the night there. The Robeson County Sheriff's Office said he drove back to Myrtle Beach the next day and was with people as he traveled to and from the event. April 27th, day of Micah's death. 10:13 a.m., Miller is seen on her Ring camera leaving her residence on Margarita Drive in Myrtle Beach. 11 a.m., Miller is seen on her Ring cam arriving at her residence. 11:38 a.m., Miller is seen on her Ring cam leaving her residence again. 12:12 p.m., Miller is seen on store surveillance walking into Dick's Pawn Shop, which is located at 1852 Mr. Joe White Avenue in Myrtle Beach. At 12:13 p.m., Miller seen buying a weapon. She's smiling. She's smiling. Hmm. At
That's a little
12:34
weird.
p.m., that is a little weird. At 12:34 p.m., Miller seen leaving Dick's Pawn Shop after purchasing a weapon and ammunition. 1:06 p.m., Miller's black Honda Accord is seen traveling on Highway 501 near 4 Mile Road in Conway. That's crazy. 1:27 p.m., Miller's black Honda Accord is seen arriving at 41 Grocery and Grill, which is located on Highway 41 in Mullins. 1:35 p.m., Miller is seen leaving the store after buying a drink and gas. At 2:54 p.m., 911 call was made from an 843 area code number. Mica Miller asked if the phone could be located and then threatened to end her own life. Mica hung up the phone before further information could be gathered by dispatch. The telecommunicator tried to call Mica back multiple times and was unable to make contact. Here's the 911 call. I'm going to play this for everyone real quick. Here's the 911 phone call. And there are YouTubers who have amplified it. And I agree, someone in the background is giving her the address. But I'll play it for you guys. This is not edited. This is straight off of
Have you been stopped by one of these untruthful signature collectors?
the commercial, of course. There we go.
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Start that again.
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Whoop.
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
Let me see. You don't know where you're at?
In National Park,
What's the phone number you're calling me from?
843-655-5242.
Um, where's the park located at?
In Bear Bluff.
Let's see.
I have my location on, I think, on my phone. Find my phone is on. I just did my my location.
Okay, I'm showing. Hold on one second. I don't think you are in Robeson County. Yeah, the Lumber River State Park. In
Yeah, that's where I am.
okay. Tell me what's happened.
I'm about to kill myself, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
Okay, ma'am. Just listen to what I'm saying, okay? Let me make sure I got the exact location where you're at, okay? Just 1 minute.
Now, was that it? Hello?
I was muted. I was talking and you couldn't hear me. I do believe that is not all of it. So hold on just a second. I think it was a 3 minute.
Only on News 13, Charlotte the Sting.
Nope, that is it. That is the update. That was
Okay.
the entire call. She did end it right there, and she hung up, and they never could make contact with her again.
Okay.
So that call again was made at 2:54 p.m. and y'all just heard the 911 call. And then at 3:03 p.m., Robeson County deputies were dispatched to the Lumber River State Park for a welfare check and to attempt to locate Mica. At 3:05, contact was made with the Lumber River State Park superintendent. At 3:20 p.m., deputies request phone ping. At 3:31, deputies arrived at Lumber River State Park and began the search of the state park with state park rangers. At 3:33, Robeson County Sheriff's Office Aviation Division Air 3S UAV drone were dispatched to Lumber River State Park. At 3:42 p.m., telecommunicator contact Verizon to request an updated location ping. At 3:50 p.m., detectives with Air 3S UAV arrived at Lumber River State Park. While conducting an aerial search, detectives were approached by a person who said he found a bag while fishing with Micah's ID inside. Detectives took possession of the bag. The Robeson County Sheriff's Office findings said this person heard crying and then a gunshot. The person stated he went further into the slough where he found a bag about 2 feet from the water's edge. An individual contacted Robeson County 911 and said he located a body in the water. He had been fishing on his kayak when he found the body. Searching deputies secured the area for an investigation. At 5:30 p.m., Chief of Detectives for RCSO arrives at the incident location. 5:54 p.m. Detectives and RCSO arrive at the incident location. The medical examiner was contacted and requested. CSI technician photographed the area. An investigation to include the vehicle belonging to Mica Miller. Items of evidence were collected from her car in the incident location. Investigators located a Sig Sauer gun case in the passenger seat of the vehicle and a box of ammunition in the center console of the vehicle. Investigators also found a receipt for the handgun from a pawn shop and a receipt from the convenience store in the vehicle. Both receipts were dated for the same day of Mica's death. The serial number on the weapon found in the water at the crime scene matched the gun box that was found in Miller's Honda Accord. 7:11 p.m. The firearm is located in the water. Leaders at the Solid Rock Church filed a police report with concerns about an influx of harassing messages in the wake of Mica Miller's death. May the 2nd, John Paul sits down with WPDE for an interview. He said, Mica was incredibly energetic. She was very creative. She created just about everything we have here at our church. Logos, designs, everything on the screen was all her. She was easily excited. The smallest thing to get her going motivated her to do big things. During the interview, he mentioned some of the struggles he thought Mica had with mental illness. So, over the years since we've been married, some people struggle with high blood pressure, some struggle with diabetes, or struggle with mental health. And whenever she stayed on her lithium, things were amazing. She'd come off sometimes, and things would get a little unusual. Per her doctors, they told her even recently that she was homicidal or suicidal. And just as high as someone can go, they can go up just as low. And so the highs, when you see on film and all, but the lows were a lot of times behind closed doors. And she struggled with wanting to end her life. Before each time we helped her through it and took her to and took her to her doctor, and we got through it and everything was fine. She even gave a few testimonies here at church we have on video of times when she had battled wanting to end her life. But God took care of her and got her through it. And so this past time, it's still a shock, an incredible shock. Although John Paul and Mica said Mica died by suicide, at this time the medical examiner had not released her manner of death. On this same day, Mica's sister, Sierra Francis, applied to the special administration of Michael's estate less than a week after her passing and 4 days before the Robeson County medical examiner announced her cause of death as ending her own life, according to an affidavit released by ABC 15. In an affidavit, Sierra claims Mica said she experienced abuse and violence from her husband, John Paul. May the 3rd, a probate court in Horry County names Mica's sister, Sierra Francis, special administrator of Mica's estate. On May the 5th, friends and family rally outside Solid Rock Church. Some in Mica's family dispute the manner of death described by her estranged husband. Okay. John Paul Miller held a memorial service at Solid Rock Church, while at the same time, her family hosted a separate celebration of life in North Myrtle Beach. May the 6th, the medical examiner releases Mica Miller's cause of death. They concluded She died of a self inflicted gunshot wound. Dr. Richard Johnson, the Robeson County medical examiner, said it was not in the back of her head as speculated. Mica Miller's family met with Robeson County deputies to discuss their investigative findings. Deputies also extended an invitation to Mica's estranged husband, John Paul Miller. However, he asked them to meet him in South Carolina. Sheriff Bernice Wilkins said they do not plan to travel to South Carolina. The Robeson County Sheriff's Office released the 911 call, security footage, and timeline detailing the day Mica died. May the 10th, John Paul Miller files a petition in Horry County Probate Court for a formal appointment to be the fiduciary of the estate of Mica Miller. The Robeson County Sheriff's Office released a statement that they requested assistance from the United States Attorney's Office and the Federal Bureau of Investigation in South Carolina in the Mica Miller investigation. The full statement read, the Robeson County Sheriff's Office has been in contact with the United States Attorney's Office and Federal Bureau of Investigation. Give me just 1 second. I've got to get a drink.
I am sorely reminded of this case now.
Yep. There, I feel so much better. My mouth was so dry. The Robeson County Sheriff's Office has been in contact with the United States Attorney's Office and the Federal Bureau of Investigation in South Carolina since the early stages of the Mica Miller investigation. Based on the information gathered during the investigation and jurisdiction reasons, the Sheriff's Office has requested the assistance of both agencies. No other information will be released at this time. Anyone with information pertaining to the Mica Miller investigation in South Carolina is asked to contact the Columbia, South Carolina FBI office at 803-551-4200. The Horry County Probate Court, in a letter to John Paul's attorney, says it declined to act on the application of informal appointment filed in the case over Mica's estate. The letter continues addressing to formal petition for appointment, instructing the attorney to file a summons and petition on all respondents, and a hearing would be scheduled. Those documents were filed by John Paul's attorney the same day. At this time, it's not known if a hearing on this matter has been scheduled. The next known court date is June 5th in family court, related to Mica's motion for temporary relief in the divorce proceedings. And then there's a list of this particular coverage and stuff on this channel. And that was ABC News 15. That was ABC News 15. All righty, let's go over here and get into the chat a little bit. And I would just like to say hello. Hello to Miss Brady. Hello, beautiful. And we also have Brooke in here. It's so good to see you too. Welcome. So far, Sammy, just where we're at, I can't believe we're already half an hour in almost. So much to cover in this case, which is why I wanted to dedicate this specific time to go over the timeline. And I would like to also here in a second go over what her sister said, what Mica's sister said. Because as you and I both know, Sammy, a lot of times in these cases, we need to hear what family members have to say.
Oh, yeah.
Besides what the official police reports say. Would you agree with that?
Right. Oh, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I have a question. Oh, hey, CKI. My chat just now finally updated. Good to see you all. There's Willette. ND317. Hello, hello. Wow, I can't believe there's so many people in here. I didn't even realize there were so many people in here. I got so wrapped up reading that report. Um, for everyone that doesn't know that is just coming in, we are talking about the Mica Miller case. I just went over her timeline um, of the period leading up to and after and during her death. I played the 911 call, and I'm fixing to go over statements from her sister um, because there's something, and this is the reason I think that that this case has been taken over, that has been handed over as it should have been to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, not only because the family refuted certain things, but because things didn't add up in that 911 call. There was another YouTuber, I don't remember who, had actually enhanced the audio and made it super loud. And in that audio, and I can't remember the name of the YouTuber that did it. I wish I could because I would love for everyone to go look at it. But they enhanced it. I think you can find it on Salty's channel. You can find it on Salty Fry's channel. That they've got it up there. Um, they enhanced it, and you can hear someone whisper like the address or the name of the park that Micah is in before she says it in the 911 call. It's very interesting. I suggest you guys go give it a listen to. All right, Sammy. So far, just with that news report that we just went over and the timeline, what do you think so far?
Well, I've kind of looked into this a little bit and seen more, and so I just feel like if you look, I look at the overall everything. It appears that she was groomed from age 10. They got married, um, and it just seemed like to me after that, for some reason, her mental health was compromised in a massive way. I think after she got married. And I think that her husband played a role in all of that and aggravated anything she might have been suffering from to begin with. But looking at this, it's like I've seen comments from the dad and the family of the things that they're refuting, and it makes total complete sense to me why they would question this. And I really think that she was driven to something that I don't believe she would have taken her own life. I just don't. And I never knew her in any way, shape, or form, but it's just my opinion. I heard hearsay now that she was buying that gun for protection. Have you heard that?
I have not heard that. I have not heard that. But what I did hear was someone made a AI version of Micah Miller's phone call to 911, and it sounded Mark Pippin. Seriously, turn your game off. If you're gonna be sitting here swearing and talking like that while I'm live, turn your game off and go in there. That's rude. That's very rude. And I do not like it whenever you say that. Period. So quit. I'm dead serious. Sorry, you guys. I completely apologize for that. Ugh, drives me bonkers. I like. There's nothing I
Is
can't
that your
stand more than
oldest
him
child?
cursing. No,
Is
that's
that
my
your oldest?
husband. That's my
Yeah.
husband playing video games, sitting over here swearing like a sailor. His mama gets
Oh,
onto it for him whenever we're at the Thanksgiving table, and I laugh about it because she'll start swearing up a storm. I don't know. He's just got a potty mouth. He's got a terrible mouth on him.
I
Whenever he
do
gets
too.
mad playing video games, especially, it's the worst. But he
Okay.
knows that that is like the worst thing he can say in my presence. You know what I'm saying? Like I get on to him
Um,
every time he says it anyways. But he shouldn't say it. He shouldn't say that, period. Ever. Ever. Anyways.
oh, well,
So sorry about that. I greatly
yeah,
apologize.
oldest child. Yeah. My
Yeah,
oldest
oldest.
child still lives at home with me. If you know what I mean.
Sammy. Hey Tony, good to see you, beautiful. So anyways, um back to the Mica Miller because it completely distracted me, Pippin. Thanks. Um Mica Miller's sister questions unexplained bruises on her hands. Micah Miller's meth. Micah Miller's meth. Listen to what I'm saying. Micah Miller's death was officially ruled a suicide. She had alleged abuse against her estranged husband, John Paul Miller. Her husband was the senior pastor at Solid Rock Church. And they have a little video here um, from News Nation of her sister. So let's watch this real quick. If
Alrighty, we don't see nothing. Do 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 do. Is it there? Regina, there's no sound, no nothing.
there's no sound, hold on.
No, we're not seeing
That's
nothing
weird.
or hearing nothing.
You know why? Because I'm having a blonde moment because I'm frustrated. Hold on just a second. My husband got me so out of
Mine's
whack
just age. I can't blame it on nothing but my age. Whatever. It happens.
yesterday. I'm ready to run him out of the office. I tell you what. Um. Okay, here we go.
Dozens of people rallying outside a South Carolina's church calling for justice for Micah. They're hoping to bring awareness to domestic violence and abuse in the wake of Micah Miller's death. She was the 30-year-old estranged wife of that church's pastor. Investigators ruled her death as suicide, but her supporters say there is much more to this story. Investigative correspondent Rich McHugh is live. Rich, you have some new reaction from Micah's family.
Absolutely, Nicole. I just spoke with them just a little bit ago. They say they're grateful for all the support and for the protests, something that they're not going to be a part of. But they also say this case needs more scrutiny and a deeper investigation. Take a look.
There were definitely bruises on Micah's hands that the medical examiner had no recollection of. And I did ask him personally, is there any chance that a body would have bruises on it from collecting from the water or someone touching her after examine her or anything? And he said, there's no chance of a body bruising after the heart stops. So our family, instead of grieving her at the funeral home, we had to still go into fight mode, investigation mode, and do the job ourselves because Robeson County was neglecting to do a proper investigation. They made a pretty PowerPoint that lined up perfectly on every reason why she would have done this herself, and they didn't investigate the other side at all.
The FBI confirmed that Robeson County Sheriff, that's the investigative body that was in charge of the investigation, the FBI confirms that they had reached out, but tell News Nation in a new statement today, per FBI and DOJ policy, we're unable to confirm or deny the potential existence of investigations, nor are we able to provide updates when there is an investigation. Now, yesterday, as we mentioned, dozens of friends and residents spoke out, vowing to do so every Sunday in front of Solid Rock Church, where Micah's husband, John Paul Miller, is pastor. They were holding signs, Justice for Micah, hoping to bring awareness about domestic violence and abuse in the wake of Mica's death.
We're not going anywhere. We're going to be here every Sunday, even if it's not a huge group. There's always going to be people here every Sunday until we find justice for Mica.
Now, recently, there have been questions raised because her husband, JP, has been pictured wearing Mica's diamond necklace. This is the same necklace she was wearing when seen in these surveillance videos. You can see the necklace on her neck right there. I asked John Paul Miller, her husband, about it. He writes, "Yes, of course it's Mica's. The hospital gave it to me when I saw her body on Sunday, and I immediately put it on to feel close to her. She loved that necklace." Mica's sisters say that's not at all why he wears it. Take a look.
In our opinion, not something that is to feel close to her. It's more of a trophy. It is more of essentially almost having something to still hang over her. She was trying to get away, and so I think it's a final piece of
She
her
was
not being able to
beautiful.
get away.
Now, Mica's sisters will be in court Wednesday of this week, fighting on her behalf in the divorce court in the estate proceedings with her husband, John Paul Miller. That's in Horry County, South Carolina, Nicole.
All right, Rich McHugh, thank you.
Okay, and there we have it for that. So Sandy, do you know anything about bruises whenever it comes to people whenever they're deceased?
Well, not about after death. No. Nope.
Well, here's the whole thing. Whenever they say that, and this is true for the most part, whenever someone dies, they don't bruise. Okay. Because there's a difference in a bruise and postmortem extravasation, 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 which is two completely different things. And I thought I would break that down because I think it's very important that people know that while bruise like discolorations can appear on Mica, the fact that they're not in the medical examiner's report is alarming. As the sister said, that it's not, he never mentioned it and she didn't see him
Mhm.
before, and then she seen him, apparently afterwards.
Well,
Um,
wait a minute. There's a video of her making a purchase, and if those marks were not on her in that video, because it looks like a pretty good quality video that you could go and check it out,
mhm.
then that really speaks volumes to me. Okay.
Well, not only that, but I did some research into it. And the thing about it is, do you know whenever people, do you know whenever people typically bruise post mortem that would appear bruise like whenever they drowning victims?
Hmm.
Michael wasn't a drowning victim.
No.
So I have this, and I just wanted to share this with you really quick and get your take on it
Howdy, Doug.
when I give you this information. Hello, Doug. Top of the evening, folks. Hello and welcome. Good to have you here. First of all, if there were bruises on Micah's body, there's a difference in that and postmortem extravasation and extravasation. I'm saying it wrong. I know I am. I apologize. But there's a big difference in the two, and we're fixing to go over that because I think that this might add to why this investigation has fully been opened. Those of you, we're going to skip that part. How can a bruise's age be determined if not by color? Once a bruise is formed, the body reacts by activating the inflammatory system. We all know that. As soon as you're damaged, your body rushes red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, and all kinds of fun things to try to start healing the wound. But I'll read it. There are two types of inflammatory cells that migrate to the site of a bruise. Neutrophils are a type of white blood cell. that arrive first. Then the macrophage cells, which are large white blood cells, arrive later. Their arrivals to the injury occur at certain time intervals. Therefore, when the inflammatory response is activated, injured tissue can be analyzed for the presence of those cells to interpret the age of the bruise. How cells respond to trauma helps determine the age of the bruise. Tissue analysis compared 1 day old bruises to 5 day old bruises. Neutrophils are not present in normal skin. Findings of the study demonstrate that when an injury occurred and the inflammatory response was activated, neutrophils migrated to the injured tissue at approximately 4 hours after the initial bleeding. This indicated fresh bleeding. Macrophage cells begin to migrate as early as 3 hours and up to 9 hours after initiation of a bruise, with continued presence and migration at 1 to 2 days. With bruises aged 3 to 7 days old, the macrophage cells had infiltrated the injured tissue, with the most intense infiltration occurring in the 5 day old bruises. Therefore, according to the study, by analyzing in detail the tissues change in bruises every day from appearance until their healing, and in conjunction with tissue analysis, will support the precise determination of the age of the injuries themselves. I'm losing my voice. Basically, what that is saying is white blood cells, the two different types of white blood cells that your inflammatory response sends a signal to, and it starts rushing to the site where you're injured. There are two different types, and you will have different levels of presence of them at different times of an injury healing. However, Mica would have, if they were actual bruises, and this is the part that makes me question how thorough the medical examiner was at autopsy. If she did have actual bruises on her hands, whenever her sister seen her after she had no longer been alive, post mortem, then there are ways to get markings on your body after you are deceased, but unless there were tissue samples taken and them looked specifically under a microscope to determine whether they were antemortem, perimortem, or postmortem for the different stages of inflammation, and then the different, white blood cells, then we may never know. As I believe she was cremated, was
Well, yeah, but you know what? Daddy said they took photos at the viewing because he was absolutely certain there's foul play because of the markings that they saw on her body,
right. Right.
which I'm really
He
glad they
said there
did.
was, yes, me too. That was very smart of them.
Hmm.
The thing is bruises can be exaggerated after death too. And whenever there is damage to an area of the body perimortem that occurs during death, or in the few minutes before and following death, if there are bruises that show up later and they're actual bruises, they will have these signs that you can determine under a microscope, like I said, that can tell you whether or not it's a bruise or whether it's
So that
extravasation.
means basically they can tell if this is something that happened to living tissue or if it's something that
Or
happened after.
yes. Okay,
Okay.
and we're gonna go over that. First of all, we just went over what a bruise is. Okay. Um And now we're going to go over what is post-mortem extravasation of blood, potentially simulating antemortem bruising. A case
Mm.
of fluid post-mortem extravasation of blood, potentially simulating antemortem bruising, is presented. A 98-year-old woman died in hospital, the cause of death being certified as congestive cardiac failure. After burial, it was apparent that the grave had been disturbed by crowbars and shovels. Exhumation was performed and autopsy revealed considerable apparent facial bruising as well as lacerations and fractures.
What?
There was no documentation by the medical or nursing staff of any injuries to the deceased preceding death, which is before death. There was also no documentation of injury by the funeral directors. Subsequently, 2 men admitted to removing the body from the grave and mutilating it. Thus was apparently facial bruising was in fact post-mortem extravasation of blood simulating antemortem bruising. The degree of extravasation was considered to be related to the severity of injuries. Loose subcutaneous tissue of the neck and head, independent position of the body upon return to the grave. This case demonstrates the degree of post-mortem extravasation of blood that may occur in particular circumstances and may simulate antemortem bruising. In other circumstances, the post-mortem extravasation of blood may well have led investigators to pursue inquiries regarding homicide.
I think I'm thoroughly confused now.
You should be. Here's the thing. Here's why I'm talking about this and why what I want everyone to know. Can things appear on human bodies that look like bruises after death? After you are already dead, can your body sustain injury? Kinda. It's
Well, it
it's
sounds
it's
like it can, but it sounds like the medical professionals would be able to tell the difference.
yes, yes, they can exactly. Whenever we die and our tissues start breaking down, um, red blood cells will leak from capillaries, okay, and they will leak from blood vessels and capillaries, and they will start to pool in the body, and whenever if especially if embalming and stuff hasn't occurred, but even after that, uh small amounts of blood can remain in the fine capillary stuff in our extremity tissues, especially.
Hmm.
And whenever red blood cells start leaking out of the casings of the capillaries and out of the capillary walls, they can pool and they can appear like bruises. And if you're already dead and someone is moving you or handling you rough, then it will cause spots that can appear purplish and pink, but it's not bruises. The
Wow.
dead don't bruise. The dead do
Yep.
not bruise. And whenever this occurs with these, what appears to be postmortem bruising, but is not, the area where the tissue damage is done will not be as big of a bruise look area to it as would a normal bruise. And um, I think that without actual tissue taken from her hand and looked at under a microscope, we may never know if it was actual bruising or whether it was the extravasation, the
Right.
extravasation. So I understand that the family has concerns on it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, everything else that has surrounded her death and all of the controversy,
You
I
know, I so totally can understand the family feeling how they feel and believing what they believe, knowing deep inside they had to know this woman very well, what better than any one of us. Um,
yes,
but I feel like they were probably the most aware of any mental health issues she might have had in her life. And I do believe that it just appears to me that there was not a major issue with that until after she married him.
right,
And
right.
then all of a sudden, there's all this manipulation. I mean, he did a lot of underhanded things. Who takes your car when you're in getting treatment? Number one. Number two, who in the world, what spouse is going to take property from you underhandedly? That
And what
happened.
kind of spouse also that you're completely estranged from, who you have filed a restraining order against, and your sister has been appointed basically the caregiver of your estate? What kind of spouse is going to challenge that
Right.
for Micah's family to not be in control of her estate whenever she obviously wanted nothing to do with him?
Yep.
If she wanted anything to do with Mr. Miller, she wouldn't have filed a restraining order against him.
I don't feel like her family has said or done anything because of a failed marriage and them taking sides. I think that they genuinely could see
Genuine.
the
Yep.
signs that something was really, really wrong.
I
Yeah.
agree with that. I agree with that. And there is so much wrong in this case. And you know what? I will say in this instance, bravo, um, for them handing this case over to the FBI whenever they
Yes.
started realizing there was inconsistencies.
Yep.
Whenever there were inconsistencies, I
Yep.
believe that was needed. I think after a thorough investigation, a complete and thorough investigation is done, um, it is going to be whether it completely ruled that she took her own life or whether it was homicide in the end. I think that by handing it over to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, whenever they couldn't make heads or tails out of it, is the best possible way for the family at the end of the day. Because whenever that report comes from them, I feel like even if it comes back that, it was self inflicted, that they are going to feel more closure than they would the local police
Right.
department taking it over and
Right.
just handling the case themselves. What do you think about
Right.
that?
Yeah. I agree. I agree. And it's sad. I totally understand where they're coming from and I feel for them and I understand. And sometimes you don't get the answers that you really need. And I'm hoping and praying that by them handing this over to the FBI, this will actually put some things in perspective and maybe even, these people are very skilled at what they do. And if there's patterns here that don't jive, I just see that the onset of any of her major mental instability seemed to be after her marriage to him, which is very, very. I mean, that's very implicates him in some way to me, in my opinion.
Hmm. I What would you say if I told you I found two cases in which um what was perceived to be peri post mortem bruising found on victims that were removed out of water, but it was not bruising?
Well, I'm positive there's a medical explanation for that.
Well, there absolutely is. It's like I said with the extravasation. Um, I have
But
trouble
it's
with that
really,
word. I can't
really,
believe I
it's
can't say it right.
really, really important for someone to be able to talk to the family to help them to understand if there's even a chance that any tissue was taken or tested beforehand, because I understand he rushed the cremation.
Mm-hmm. He did.
And so, therefore, I don't know what their medical procedure is before the cremation, as far as, any notes that might have been taken, were there video taken or pictures taken or any of that. And I'm pretty sure being family, they may have access to it, but because she was married, maybe not. But it's really, really good idea for them to try and learn as much as possible about that, because I can understand them, the way they feel, what they think. Maybe it can put it in perspective for them in a way that they can come to terms with some kind of, maybe not closure, but I mean, something that's going to make more sense for them.
Something that they can understand.
Yep.
Yep. So I was gonna go ahead and read this abstract on post-mortem, what can appear to be post-mortem bruising, but we kind of already covered that in the other one.
Hmm.
Um, Hello, gritty grifters. Unknown caller. Good to see you guys.
How's everybody today?
Star 67. Hello. All right. Back to where I got distracted for a second there. um, so here's the thing about the Mica Miller case. Unless there are samples, or um unless there is, doing just Sandy. Unless there are actual unless there is some kind of actual evidence that is going to put JP, whatever his name is, Miller, John Paul Miller, until there is sufficient evidence to prove that he was on location or his girlfriend was on location whenever Micah died, then is there really ever going to be any closure in this case, especially if we don't know um, if she sustained those injuries before or after she was deceased? And while he obviously, from everything I've seen, was a horrible husband and abused her, did she really suffer? I know the family and friends have said she didn't suffer with mental illness. Um, and he did have her involuntarily committed. Involuntarily committed. Did he drive her to the brink of insanity? Is that what's going on here?
What it looks like to me.
Or, yep. And if he did drive her to the brink of insanity to end her own life, isn't he culpable? Isn't he just as culpable? Or should he be held culpable and accountable for it? What do you think, Sammy?
I do. I do. And I just feel like, if there was none of this before her marriage to him, that is your indicator right there that he was the common denominator for her downfall, period. And I know that him rushing the cremation is a big red flag to me. Big. Because something, I've had family who have taken their life, and their spouse demanded, even though it was suicide, an autopsy, because they wanted to make sure, to find out that something else was not medically wrong that was never found to cause them to do this.
Uh-huh.
And it was not necessary. We all knew there was issues, but they wanted to be sure.
Right. Well, I think that the family deserves that. I
Mhm,
think that the family always deserves that.
mhm.
Hi, Star. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. I just want to say hi to everybody that's new in chat. I'm seeing a lot of new faces. It's so good to have you guys here. Um, Sammy, I'm gonna let you take over for just a second, and
Okay.
I will be right back. And then we're gonna take a few phone calls and get things wrapped up for the day because I still have to cook dinner and everything. So,
Yay.
yay! I'm starving. I'm
Okay.
starting to get hangry. So, give me just a
Well,
moment. You take over. You can take
so
over.
what happened in my family was I had an uncle and he was having issues and it was for real issues and we were somewhat aware of it. He tried to hide his illness, and when his wife found out, she insisted that he get help. And so what happened was he was so unwell that he felt like there was no other way out because they couldn't fix him. And no matter how much help he got, I could see this was insurmountable for him. So when he did what he did and he was found, it totally made sense to us, but my aunt would not she just absolutely was not going to rest if she wanted to make sure that there was not something else wrong with him causing this issue for him. And so she insisted on an autopsy because to try to make sure that something didn't get missed medically beforehand. So that's kind of how that went down. And he was a truly tortured soul. And I think he's in a better place now. But I can totally understand where she was coming from. And it put her at ease to know and to understand that there wasn't something overlooked or missed. So when I look at this case and I see that the husband has completely entirely rushed and demanded a cremation, I'm only thankful maybe that her family did get some photos. I don't know how helpful that's going to be, but you just never know. You just never know. And I know that that's something that really bothers me, you know? Yeah, my uncle's in a better place and I loved him to death and he was nothing but good to me. And when I got older and realized what was going on for him, I really did feel for him. And it was just something that, yeah, you have to keep trying to give support. But in this case with Micah, it kind of seems like most of her instability was triggered by this marriage in some way. Like it started happening after her getting married. Yeah, we do. We need better access to mental health resources. We do. Yep. So, I mean, you can't help but look at this case. And I think if the dad hadn't have said anything, I might not have thought much about it. You know what I mean? Like I might not have questioned anything, but then he got my attention. And I was like, wait a minute. Because if we would have found that with my uncle, that would have bothered me too. You know, markings and scratches and bruises where they shouldn't be. But I mean, who, I don't know. I really don't know anyone who is going to rush a cremation like, let's get it done yesterday kind of thing. That's really suspect to me too. That's shady. What do y'all think about it? Oh, Brady, she said absolutely. Also forcing the family to agree to it just so they can see her. Yeah, there is something really wrong with this picture. I mean, come on now. That's just, that's downright wrong. I mean, seriously.
I've been sitting here talking the whole time muted.
Oh,
How do I keep doing that to myself? So, you guys, the phone lines are open. I would like for you guys to call in and see what you think. I would like to see what you guys think. Have you call in and have you weigh in on this case? I have some very specific questions I'd like to ask you when you do call in. If you do call in, the phone number is 870-266-6949, and we would love to hear from you. Um, Sammy, because we don't have the reports and we don't know if the injury was caused or how the injury was caused to Micah's hands. Um, it's interesting to see how this investigation is going to fully pan out.
right. The thing is, we don't know is there some kind of medical procedures they do beforehand because of things like this happening that maybe there's something nefarious, maybe samples taken, photos taken, video taken, notes taken, maybe. I don't know.
I can't help but sit and wonder that involuntary hospitalization in a mental health facility by her husband, whom she was separated from, was it all a setup for what was to come? Like, did he initiate her involuntary being placed in a mental health hospital, um, so that if he did have anything to do with her actual death, did he do it to set it up? I mean, we know he's a master manipulator. We know he is, we've had people come out of the woodwork about this man since Micah's death. Um, what do you think about that? Do you think that it was premeditated and was it homicide, or do you think he literally just everything he was doing, having her involuntary admitted and taking her car while she was admitted, and all of that? Do you think it was all premeditation to lead up to a nefarious plan of making it seem like she had ended her own life, or do you think that she did end her own life and it was because of the things he was doing to her?
I'm gonna tell you right now, the fact that he's known her since she was 10, and I feel like he had plenty of time to get to know this child into a womanhood, to know her mind, how it works, and how to manipulate her.
So you think this was master manipulation to force her to lose her mind and do this,
Hmm.
or
I
to
do.
be that distraught?
Well, I feel like that's what his hope was, to drive her to this, um, somehow, some way.
Have you heard the uh have you heard the YouTube video where the audio is enhanced?
No, I do believe that her dad is onto something. I believe that there was. I really, truly don't believe she did this to herself. I just don't. I just don't. I don't. I don't see. I don't know how to put all of this because I think I've already probably slipped up and said a word or two that I shouldn't have. But, when someone does this to themselves, usually any of the injuries they would have would be very indicating of exactly the type of unaliving that they suffered from. So if she's using a pew pew, I seriously doubt there's going to be bruising on the outside of her hand. I don't feel like it's consistent with what happened, what was said to have happened. I just don't. And that's important. Consistencies are vitally important. And I don't find that to be consistent with something of this nature. But I
What do
don't have
you
a lot of
think?
experience with it, so
Now, do you know about Micah's body being in the water? Have you heard about that?
only in this report, okay? Otherwise I did not know.
Well,
But
it's
I feel
actually
like
quite
this.
interesting. It's actually quite interesting. Let me tell you about a little bit about it. Now, according to the water tables, the water was up just a little bit whenever this incident occurred with Micah, but the water wasn't moving. It wasn't a moving current. It was on a flat,
Like still water.
like still water. There were trees. There were a lot of trees and stuff around it, and it was like the still water. Um, do you think that with her purse being found on shore and the weapon being found in the water, but her actual body being quite a distance from where the weapon was found in the water and her purse was found just feet from the shore, do you think that that fits the scenario of what happened? That she that would add up to her ending her own life in the water?
Yeah, I doubt it.
Yeah. Do you know that it
I
is
doubt
highly
it.
uncommon? Do you know that it is highly uncommon, like the least common method of ending their own life that a woman can take is to use a gun to do it?
Well, I'm I've looked up statistics before, and generally if a woman is going to do that to herself, they tend to their wound will be either their chest or their stomach. I don't know why, but that seemed to be the statistics on it. Um,
Hmm.
and it's rare for a woman to use a gun.
Very rare.
So it's
As a
more
matter of fact,
common for
there
overdosing.
is, as a matter of fact, there is a 0.00001% chance that a woman will use a gun, a weapon like that to end their
Right,
own life.
right. And a men, I would think that most men would typically, as far as when you're thinking along those lines, that's their go-to in my mind. Just I'm thinking, overall as far as men and women go. But honestly, I'm going to tell you what's going to be a really big key is that phone call. Because if there is another voice in that background, they're in trouble.
I agree with that. I
Because
agree.
nobody is going to go someplace and be around other people if they can help it. And if that voice is giving any instruction whatsoever, that tells you right there they were with her, period. And it
Right.
should not have happened. And so there's somebody else there, and they trust me, the technology is out there, and these alphabet agencies have access to all of it. There's no escaping this. If he has done this to her, you're not getting away with it, JP. That's all there is to it. And it could take time. It could take years, but you know,
There are videos of this man where he is an utter mess, out of his mind, high and flyer. I mean, flying higher than a kite on only God knows what. Um, oh, we have a phone.
Call from Brady.
Hello, Miss Brady. How are you?
Hey, gorgeous ladies. I'm good. I It's driving me crazy because I can't type that fast. But can I say what I think? What I think?
Absolutely. I welcome your opinion.
Okay.
All opinions are welcome here. You know that, girlfriend.
Okay. So you know that paper that he told her he was going to that he had like over her, that when he told her if she went with him to talk to that doctor, that he would sign that over to her family. He just wanted her to get help. And that's when she said okay. So she went and he tricked her in. That's when he put her into the place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that paper, I think her hand was forced. I think her hand was on the trigger, but I think somebody's was on top of hers. But this is what I think. I also think that she went there to meet him, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he told her, if you meet me there, I can sign that paper over to you. We can move on. We can do whatever. Just meet me somewhere over there and I'll sign that paper for you. And I think she bought the gun ahead of time because she was scared for her, because she was going to meet somebody for her safety. So she bought it for her own safety, but it was used on herself. And I think that phone call that she made to 911, I think she probably had somebody sitting there and forced her to make that call, because on that recording that you're talking about, when they changed or fixed the volume, whatever they did, you can hear a female in the background tell her where she's at, and then
Mm-hmm.
she paused before she told it to the police. And then she also had you could hear a boat. Like she wasn't there alone. I don't believe that. And her body was too far from where the bullets were. And the other thing that bothers me is they said they only heard one bullet or one shot, but they found multiple casings, and there was even a bullet in a tree. How?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So anyways, that's what I think. And I talk too much, so I won't keep you, but I just wanted to say it and not type it.
No, you're fine. I'm actually glad you called. Now there is, and the strange part about the bullet in the tree and um, of the wound, the bullet, there were multiple shell casings. We'll leave it at that. Um, there was a witness that said they only heard one gunshot.
That's what I'm saying. But how do we know that witness wasn't connected to whoever was there? How do we know? We don't know. But
We
how
don't
could there only be one?
exactly.
How could there only be one gunshot if one hit her and one was in the tree and there were multiple casings?
Right.
That
Well,
doesn't
that
make any sense.
same witness also says that he heard a boat in the area. But whenever they canvassed and tried, they put it out that they would like the people that were on the boat to come forward. They never did.
Yeah, but you can actually hear it on that recording. So whether they came forward or not, somebody was out there.
Right.
And
You're
that
speaking.
water was so still.
I
Water
don't
was
know
so
what temperature
still
the
that
water was. I do not know what temperature the water was. No. But you have to think that it would still be pretty cool water. Absolutely. Absolutely, because it was
Mhm.
earlier in the season. So the water would at least still be cool. I would guess between 40 and 60 degrees. And that's just a guess. Maybe actually 40 and 50 degrees. But so what do you think that the people that were on the boat not coming forward, do you think that is going to be important in this case or not?
I think so. Because I also heard that for her to get to where she was,
Uh-huh.
that first of all it was like blocked off, alligator infested, whatever, and you
Mhm.
wasn't supposed to be in that area. But I also heard on somebody's channel that, or I don't remember what I watched, but they said in order to get where she actually was, you couldn't walk there. You had to have been taken by like a paddle boat or something.
They
I
said
don't
they
know
had
how
to
true that is,
walk.
but I heard that.
They said that you would have had to have walked through waist deep water and gotten to another area, like a little
Yeah.
uh area that had embankment near it, but it was also surrounded by water. They said that you would have had to have waded knee-deep water to get over there, or
And
waist-deep
what did
water.
you say when you were saying the times? What time? How much time was between the 911 call and them finding her, or the guy saying he heard the shot at that? What time he heard the shot?
I don't remember.
That I'm curious about, because did that give her enough time to go walking, wading in the water, and shooting the pew pew multiple times? And it just doesn't. It's not adding up to me. And then the wounds on her arms. I honestly, I think it has to do with that same paper that he used to get her into the hospital. That's what I think. And I could be 110% wrong, but that's just what I think.
Yes.
Because he was so dirty, and the way like he did the parents, even in order for them to see her, they had to agree to let him have her cremated without an autopsy right away. That was the only way they were allowed to see her. He was dirty like that. So
Oh, wow.
so him saying he would meet her there to sign the paper wouldn't be far-fetched from what he did to even the family.
Right. And considering all of the other new afflictions we are discovering about Mr. John Paul Miller, he's, mm,
He's a
dare I
scumbag.
say, a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yep, that's what I wrote in the room too. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yep.
You know, though he'd commented some churches are just bad. It's not always that the churches are bad. It's the people behind, the people that are running it, the people that get into the church claiming that they're good people and then do what he's doing. That's
Yes.
it's the people, you know.
And it makes all organized religions and all churches look bad. Really, it does. And
Yep,
it's terrible
just like
too.
anything else, just like anything else, a dirty cop makes other cops look bad. You know, just like anything else. And it's sad, but he was one of those. He's a disgusting human being, and I think I don't know. I think he had a lot to do with it. If I'm completely wrong and none of that, it had nothing to do with the paper and nobody else was there, I still think he's to blame. He drove her to it. But when I heard the recording of somebody else in the background, there was definitely somebody there.
Yep. And if it is ruled that she did actually die by her own hand, what do you think? Do you think that there should be charges brought against him? And if so, what would you speculate that those charges should be?
I think he should be charged with something. I don't know charged with what, but he obviously tormented her and drove her crazy and stalked her and harassed her. And there's multiple witnesses that have said that. Even I don't know what the charges should be, but there should be something.
Would you agree with would you agree with felony stalking charges?
Heck yes, I would.
Would you agree with, harassment?
Heck yes, I would.
And we know that it's illegal to track someone. We know that it's illegal to track someone.
What did they say? He had 4 tracking devices on her car at one time? Something like that?
Yeah, something like that, I believe was the count that was recited in another report.
Yeah. I and the sad thing is, look how fast, like, he was, the girl was wearing her necklace and everything else. He's going to turn around. If he's not charged with something and something's not done, these laws don't change, he's going to do it again. He's going to do it to somebody else.
I agree with that. I agree that anyone who would mentally manipulate someone into something like this is not only culpable for, doing it, and I think that they should be held accountable for it. But I also agree that if he is willing to do this to someone, and what do you think about him grooming her since he was 10 years old?
He's gross. And I totally believe it. I totally believe it. It's just very sad. I don't even know what to say about it. It's very sad. It's disgusting. He knew he was in her head. He knew how to play her since she was 10 years old. He knew how to make her think. He knew how to, it was obvious. Like he had her become her babysitter. She, trusted him. She felt, he knew what he was doing. He knew what he
See,
was doing till the very last second she was alive.
right. I agree with that. I completely agree with that.
Yeah,
I think he controlled every aspect of her life, including her death, sadly.
they
And it's
said when he got upset with her, he would take her phone from her like a child. He would take her car from her like a child. And that's the other reason why I don't think, like I had said this before, if you're planning to off yourself, take your own life, whatever, however you want to say it, if you're planning on doing that, I myself, I hate going to register cars. I'm not going to go stand in that line, and I'm definitely not going to pay my rent and my car payment right before I do that. That makes no sense.
it doesn't, does it? It doesn't make sense to go pay your rent if you're not going to need a place to live. It doesn't make
Why are you
sense to
going to go
go pay
register
your
your car?
or to have a hair appointment if you're no longer going to
Right,
be alive, or pay your
right.
car payment if you're not going to need your vehicle.
Yeah, yeah. They
Like
said she had to
like
go
maybe
re-register it or whatever.
maybe a little bit, the rent payment, maybe she felt like she was, because they said she had a kind heart and she was, just a good person. Maybe I could understand her um making the car payment and the rent and the aspect of she in her mind tying up loose ends. But what I cannot see is her making the hair appointment and
See,
having the
with
hair
all
appointment.
of it, yeah,
That is the
even with
one
all
that
of it
out
though,
of all those three that the most I find alarming. What about you?
I just feel like if you're so upset and so depressed, you're not even going to think about any of those things. It's not that you're avoiding them. You're not even going to think about that stuff. If you're planning on going to buy a pew pew for that, that's your mind is not right. You're not in the right state of mind to think, oh, well, I better pay these bills. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I've known people who've also taken their lives and ice cream. Well, somebody's feeling better. But anyways, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. But I love you guys, and I will let you go because I got a little monkey wanting some ice cream.
We appreciate you so much, Brady, for calling in. And as always, you have a blessed day. And I agree with you on a lot of that. I agree with you almost everything, actually. So I'm right there with
I
you in a
appreciate
lot of your opinions.
I appreciate you guys as well, and thanks for taking my call. And I will talk to you soon.
Give my love to Anais and the hubby for me, hun.
I will. Love you.
Love you
Bye.
too. Bye bye. And that was Miss Brazzy. Sammy, what did you think about that phone call? Well,
I
with
agree
the
with
things
her.
she said.
I feel like if she was in that state of mind, that would be the last thing she's thinking about is her hair, her nails, any of that, the car, the whole nine yards. Because I've seen it too. And these people get to a place that you can tell they need help and you try. And with this, especially if you look at that video of her getting that gun, I mean, honestly, she looked like she was well kept. She didn't look disheveled or a mess, and that's
She
kind
did.
of what you would see. Yeah. Yep.
Right. You
But
would
I agree with
expect
her.
to see, I'm with you on that. You would expect to see her presenting odd mannerisms or,
Well,
like,
you just let
or
go
at
of
least
yourself.
look
You don't.
disheveled.
Well, when you're in that state of mind, you have hit rock bottom and you really don't care anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I
Right.
agree. Yep. Makes
Well,
a lot
that,
of sense.
that, I'm not going to lie. That happens so often. Willat Harris said, or what, his name's actually Watt, but we call him Willat because it's fun and he's awesome. Seems like a good old boy network at work. That happens all the time. You have people that will be friends with people, or and in this instance, it's a church. It was a whole church, a whole network of people in the church, And then what happens is people will start going to that church, and then uh, John Paul Miller is the pastor of that church. So naturally, those people that are his congregation and stuff are not going to suspect him or even side eye him, because he's the one getting up in the pulpit every Sunday preaching the word of God.
He's a good old boy.
A good old boy. Exactly. And that's
Yep.
why I'm saying that comment, it very much so could be 100% the case that is going on
Yeah.
here. Yes, be real. Justice for Micah. Absolutely. She deserves that. And it's awful too, because she was beautiful. She had so much to offer. She was creative, and she was so loved by her family. So loved by her family. And now it's a total waste of a human life for her to be gone. It really is. It really is. And for anyone out there, I know that they say that her death has been, as it stands right now, that she took her own life. But let me explain this to you. Anyone out there who is thinking about doing this to themselves, to ending their own lives, you are valuable. You really are. You have more to offer than you know. But if you end your own life, you will never be able to offer anything else to anyone. I know that sometimes when we are in the moments that are the worst in our pain, that we don't want to feel that pain any longer. But as with all good things that come to us in life, even pain takes time to subside. And it's worth it for the joy that follows after. And you owe yourself the right to heal and find joy again. Don't let other people's opinions of you ever take away the love you have for yourself. And remember, you're not alone. You are never alone. There are phone lines you can call. Um, there are there somewhere there is someone that loves you, that does not want to see you hurt or do that to yourself. And even those people that you think that maybe you have burned bridges with, I really, really do suspect if you'll call them whenever you are at the lowest of your life and you are thinking about that. If you call them, you might just be surprised. They might answer the phone, and your life can turn around in an instant. And it can be for the better, and sometimes it can be for pain. But you can always have something change. You don't have to stay down in that darkness, and there is hope. There is hope. And I'm a Christian, so I'm going to put this out there. God, you don't even need a phone. You don't even need a phone. And praying never hurts. It doesn't. Prayer never hurts. What's the worst that can happen? You might feel like if you can get something off your chest, you'll feel better. What's it going to hurt? Anyways, um, don't ever give up. Samuel, was there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, thank you. I think that was absolutely perfect and very well said.
Yep. You're not hopeless until you're dead. You're not failed until you quit trying. There is no failure in trying. There's not. There's only lessons learned. And I truly believe that. So, yes, it was a very good call. It was an amazing call. Thank you, Brady, for calling in. Um, with that said, you guys, I'd only planned on doing like an hour live today, and we've already gone over, Sammy. We're an hour and 40 minutes in.
All right. Well, that's not too bad. We're doing all
It's not
right.
too bad. I'm
Well,
trying to cut down on the stream time of the lives though, because I want to be able to get more lives in during a week. Um,
mhm.
and it takes time to prepare all this and get everything planned out and together, and everything. Aside from just going live. So I'm planning on going live. Tomorrow I'm going canoeing with my dad. So I won't be live tomorrow. But Thursday we're going to be having a live. And we're going to be talking about the Sebastian Rogers case again. And we are going to be talking about the two mothers that were found and how they were found and everything, and going over that case a little bit. So, with that said, you guys, please hit that like and subscribe if you haven't. We are only 50 subscribers away from 1,000. Please help us hit our goals. We greatly appreciate it. After we hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm opening up a Discord that is completely separate from members only. But if you would like to join the True Crime Chatter team, or the Crime Chatters team, we offer memberships, and on our members Discord, we have movies. We have one-on-one deep discussions on true crime and things like that. But the other Discord we're opening up, and that's going to be for everyone, all subscribers. Anyone's going to be free to join it. Since I'm working on creating the server for that, it'll probably be Thursday. I will share the link in the Sebastian Rogers discussion that we're going to have, because there are a lot of channels out here going, "Oh, where have the Proudfoots lied?" Well, a couple of times, and I'm going to be revealing that. And not only that, but I'd like to get a little bit of a feel and a vibe out there for where people are standing with the Sebastian Rogers case. Sammy, is there anything you want to add before we go, sugar?
No, I think that was good. I think we made our point, and I appreciate everybody for showing up. And want to invite you back for our next live.
Well, hello, True Crime Deduction. Welcome. Sorry you're catching us right at the end of the live, but thank you for joining us. I greatly appreciate that. So I got a feeling we're going to be able to hit 100, our first 1,000 subscribers by Thursday. Do you think we can do it, Sammy?
Oh yeah, we got this.
Yep.
It's all
So again, you guys, please hit that like, subscribe, and share. And remember always, in the words of Crystal, to share a smile and save a life. And you never know, the life you save just might be your own. Lock your windows and doors, you guys. Stay vigilant. This world is crazy, and you never know what's out there. And remember, never give up hope, and God is only just utterance of his name away, always. And blessings, and have a great day, everybody. Bye.